Hello my fellow chatterers and book lovers and anyone else who has popped in because you're curious about what this is or you have got a bit lost. Hello everyone, I'm Chatty, this is my channel Chatty the Mad Chatter, and I'm going to be chatting madly away about the start of the Middlegrade Madness challenge, where I am in which books I have read, are there any I'm particularly hoping to get to, and I'm going to go through the first 5 prompts on the Pyramid Peril. I'm going to be following the Pyramid Peril map. I have one book that I've already read, so I've already done one prompt, and I'm currently reading another one, or the other one, but the other 3 are going to be new ones, and you're going to be with me as I choose them. So I am very excited to see where we get to and what books it's going to encourage me to read. If you do not know what the Middlegrade Madness Challenge is, I do have an announcement video which explains it. There is one with visuals and there is one which is just audio, so I will put both the links in the description box so you can go and check those out. And if you are still interested, you can come back and carry on watching. But in a nutshell, it is seeing if we can read more of the books that were nominees in the Middlegrade Readers' Choice Awards of 2023, 2024 and 2025. So my plans for this are, I do want to do the maps and the journeys because I love all of that stuff and I love the prompts and I love gamifying things. So I decided to be ambitious and do the Pyramid Peril, including portaling out to do the Traveller's Trail and back again. So giving myself 17 prompts and 17 books to read for the year. This may well carry over into next year if I don't finish it this year, but I'm gonna do my best. My plan for sort of vlogging my experience, or just kind of catching you up with how I'm doing, I want to do it kind of quarterly. So this is the first installment, obviously, and I am going to talk you through like where I am at the start of the challenge. So what books had I read prior to the challenge, and then I am going to talk you through the first couple of prompts where I've already chosen them and I've already gone to the books, and then we're going to be doing the new ones together, which is very exciting. So I've been looking forward to doing this for a while. I was hoping to do the whole thing, but I couldn't not read, so I just went in. I was like, I'll just catch you up later. And actually it's a good plan because now I can review one of the books and tell you all about it rather than giving myself a lot of books to be talking about in the next video. So well done with disorganized me. I really need to try and not overthink this, because the reason I set it out the way I did and made it over a year is so I could be more kind of spontaneous and moody with what I'm reading. And already my planning genes my suppressed planning desire is kind of coming through, and I'm like, but I need to make sure I choose the best route to just keep hitting all the prompts. We'll work it out. It's gonna be fine. Don't overthink, just do. That's the plan. We'll see if I manage it. So what books have I already read? So having a look at the 2023 list now, I have read 6 of these books. So I have read The Lost Library, I have read Impossible Creatures, I've read Green Wild, Hammer and the Jungle of Memories, The Swifts and Jamie. And I did enjoy all of those books. So Jamie I absolutely loved. I thought it was such a brilliant story. The Swifts I really enjoyed the author's voice and the zaniness of the characters. I found there was a lot in the plot and it got a little bit, it went off in lots of different directions, and I think the theme that I was hoping for in that book didn't quite come out as strongly as I wanted to, and I didn't quite get the emotional attachment to the main character, but it was a really fun read. The Lost Library was the winning book for that year, and I completely understand why it won. It was very much books and about the love of books, and there was a lot of it that was really cute, really cozy, but I think I wanted a bit more from it. I think I'd overhyped it a bit too much in my head. So whilst I enjoyed it as a cozy read, it's not one of my favourite like some of the other books are. Impossible Creatures, I definitely feel like this is going to be a book that's going to be a classic in the future. It just has that classic fantasy feeling. That's written all over the book. So I was a little bit dubious when I read it. I was like, really? Are they just saying that because they want to sell the book? But no, I definitely agree. It has got that Tolkien-esque vibe of this world, and Catherine Rundell's writing is absolutely beautiful. There is a lot packed in there, and it's definitely, I love the world building. I love the way she writes. I love the magicalness of it all. And I do like the characters. I did feel for the characters. It was an emotional journey. But I didn't quite fully go into my love for the characters as I have with some other books. I don't know why. That's just how I found that one. Green Wild really surprised me because I really enjoyed the whimsy. I enjoyed the story. I did really enjoy, there was a theme of kind of immigration within this one, not so much in the following books, but definitely within this one of the protagonist finding this magical world, and some Greenwilders welcoming and some Greenwilders not being so welcoming, which was really interesting. There obviously is a huge love of nature within this one too, and there's a nice little found family, and there's kind of a magicalness mixed within the nature. But I was quite surprised the emotional impact this book had on me when I was reading it. And I did really enjoy this one. My favourite is Hammer and the Jungle of Memories. I absolutely love this book, and this will be the book that I would definitely recommend picking up from this one. This book just has a wonderful full circular plot. It's so warm-hearted. You really root for the character, but she has got certain flaws in the way she does things, but these are explored and dealt with, and I really enjoyed that. There's this wonderful theme of memories throughout. There is a love for family, there is a love for friends, there is a huge adventure within this, there's a lot of magic within this, there's a lovely kind of feeling of folklore and stories within it, and I just thought it was wonderful. So, starting off, having read 6 of those, I definitely do want to read more. There's some here that are definitely on my list because I have them. So I have Nick Blake and the Remarkables, so that is definitely one from the long list that I definitely want to pick up. And I want to read the Skandar series. So from the shortlist, Skandar and the Phantom Rider is definitely one that I want to be picking up as well. Now looking at 2024, this is the one I think I've probably read the most of because last year we wanted to read the top 5 and I did a whole read along about reading the top 5 books from the Good Readers' Choice Awards list. So I've definitely read the top 5. I have also read 2 more from the shortlist and another one from the Hidden Gem. So the one I've read from the Hidden Gems is The Island at the Edge of Night.
And I've read Green Wild, City Beyond the Sea and Keedy. And then the top 5, which is The Whisperwicks, The Last Hope School for Magical Delinquents, Gut Reaction, Amari and the Despicable Wonders, and The Girl Who Kept the Castle.
The Island at the Edge of Night. And I read this before it went on the list, and I entered it as a hidden gem. So that's why it's on the list, because I really enjoyed the book. This is by Lucy Strange. I enjoyed another book that Lucy Strange wrote, and so I was very excited to see this one. Also, it has a sunset on the front cover, and I am a big sucker for a sunset colour palette. This is a gothic thriller, and I absolutely love the atmosphere. Lucy Strange is so good with the atmosphere. I really connected with the protagonist and the really difficult, awkward position she found herself in. There is a wonderful found family within here. There is a lot of dodgy, suspicious, sinister adult characters in here. There is a school setting. It's wild and isolated and on this island around these cliffs. So it's really kind of, it gave me a lot of, if you've ever read Walls of Willoughby Chase, that kind of spooky, creepy vibes. And I love reading stories where children thwart really nasty, horrible adults. So that was delightful. So yeah, I had a wonderful time with that book. On the shortlist, I have also read Green Wild, The City Beyond the Sea, because obviously I read Green Wild last year and I want to continue with the series. I didn't enjoy this one as much as Green Wild, but I did really enjoy exploring a little bit more about the world. I enjoyed exploring a different kind of place and setting within the world and having more like sea plants and things explored in there. And we did get to meet a new character as well as reconnecting with the old characters that we already enjoy, and it was really nice to kind of be back with them all again. And then a book I absolutely love, which is Keedy by Elle McNichol.
Published as Glimmer of Change in the US.
So Elle McNichol is probably most well known for A Kind of Spark, and Keedy was on the same level as A Kind of Spark. It was brilliantly done. Keedy has got such a strong voice. She's such a strong character in there, and I just absolutely loved reading that book. Then the top 5. So I really enjoyed every single one of these books. These are absolutely fantastic top 5, all brilliant books. So prior to the Middlegrade Reader's Choice Awards, I had read Amari and the Despicable Wonders because in Middlegrade Mad Chat, quite a lot of us are Amari fans and were so excited for the next Amari book to come out. So we did a little read along, Amari along together. So very excited for Amari, and it was a brilliant instalment within the Amari series. A lot of whimsy, found family, humour, adventure, and lots of kind of emotions in that story as well. Gut Reaction was one I hadn't heard of before, and this one, again, it really hit me in the feels. It's such a beautifully told story about what it's like to have Crohn's disease and kind of the difficulties around that. It was a really well put together contemporary. And then we have some more fantasy books. So The Last Hope School for Magical Delinquents. Again, this really got me with the emotional beats of the story about a character that faces that kind of doesn't have a good view of themselves and their abilities and their skills, and it was all about kind of like bringing that out, finding where you belong, feeling like an outsider all the time, but then having some people who are your tribe. And the friendship in this book is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. The magic was so much fun, seeing how magic was kind of categorized when there's in this place. And then there was also kind of an outside threat happening, a bit of a mystery going on, and an adventure, and banding together to kind of overcome it. The Whisperwicks took me completely by surprise. I had heard so many good things, but I still wasn't prepared for how much I loved this book. This has got a really kind of creepy, otherworldly setting. There feels like a lot of kind of danger within here, but at the same time, there's a delightful whimsiness to it as well. And there was an absolute love of books in this story. You also have a child that, again, doesn't quite know where they fit in, is struggling with kind of a few things, and exploring the idea of friendship. And the other character they meet in this book is also going through some difficult things, and they don't hit it off straight away, but then it's lovely to watch their trust and respect for each other form into a friendship, and for all of that to grow. The adventure is wonderful, the stakes are high, and again, a lot of emotion within this book. And the winning book, the girl who kept the castle, also surprised me with how much. I thought it was going to be a really fun, whimsy read, but it surprised me with how invested I was and how much I loved this story. I loved it, and I loved The Girl Who Kept the Castle and the Whisperwicks, but they're very kind of like different ends of light-hearted and serious, I think, with The Girl Who Kept the Castle being really light-hearted, but at the same time there is a huge amount at stake here, and there is a lot of tension, and you can feel a range of emotions, from being annoyed on the behalf of the protagonist, and also really rooting for her and all the little people that kind of come together with her, and it was just so much fun to read. I have spoken far too long about these books. I started off giving you literally like one sentence summary, and I've ended up turning it into a gush fest. Well, this is where we are. I'm going to see if I can rein it back while I tell you about the books I read in 2025. But firstly, books on this list that I'm keen to get to. Artisans has been sat looking at me, as has Arcspire, because I have loved other books by those authors, and they're both fantasy books, and that is definitely my jam. I am unsure of the other ones. There's definitely ones I'm interested in, but none of the other ones are kind of like standing out that I really should kind of get to those. I'd say they're more on a level playing field. Okay, now looking at what books I have read in 2025. So obviously this still feels quite new to me because it was only put together a few months ago. So I have read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, I've read a lot from the shortlist, not so much from the other ones. Yeah, it's 6. So yes, 2024 was the one I have read the most books of. Okay, these 6 books I have read
are The Line They Drew Through Us, and then the top 5, which is Inkbound, Meticulous Jones and the Skull Tattoo, The Witch Who Stormed the Palace, The Poison King, Impossible Creatures, The Whisperwicks, Impossible Trials, and Silverborn, The Mystery of Morrigan Crow.
I have read The Line They Drew Through Us. I loved The Line They Drew Through Us. I read it before this list. And yes, I nominated it as a hidden gem, which is why it's on the list. This was such a brilliant read. It's historical fiction. It looks at the partition in India and how it then became India and Pakistan. The children that it follows are, again, you root for all of them. It shows kind of what was at stake for all of these kids and how this partition affected them, and many other people. I thought it was done so beautifully. There is obviously a horror from that type of thing and that period of history that I think is sort of told really well for a middle grade audience without shying away from the fact that there were atrocities and there were terrible things that happened. But there is still a joy, a hope and a lightness kind of within there, and I just thought it was brilliant. So the other books I've read, they are, once again, all the top 5 books. It wasn't intentional. I'm obviously delighted that they're there. So I've read Inkbound, and I feel really excited about that one because that was a book that I had looked forward to the whole year, read, really loved. And I'm so pleased that other people felt the same way and were hyped about that one as well. I haven't told you anything about that book, but I have waffled on too much about the other ones. But again, it has just a really interesting magical world, the magic throughout it, done via the form of like tattoos and having a glove on your hand to tether your magic. And there's certain kind of aspects within the world that are okay or not okay, and sort of trying to find out what they are, and just the history of the world is really fascinating. We then have the sequel to The Girl Who Kept the Castle, which is The Witch Who Stormed the Palace, and this one kind of picked off exactly where that one left, and it still has all of that wonderful whimsy and the kind of the themes and what that book was trying to do really come through. I haven't heard if there's any more in that series, but it definitely feels like there is potential. And hopefully Ryan Graden has some more stories to tell us from that point of view. And we also have the follow-up to Impossible Creatures, which is The Poisoned King. And I really enjoyed this one as well. Again, very similar. I really love the world building. We had more adventure. We had more kind of exploration with creatures, more of the lore of this land. And it was done really brilliantly. But there's still something I'm just not quite as emotionally connected as I am to the other stories. And I really don't know why, because the book is so beautifully written. The world is wondrous. It's really fantastical. I'm not sure what it is, but I still really enjoyed the story. And the Whisperwicks, again, follow up. So that this is the Whisperwicks, The Impossible Trials, the follow up to the Whisperwicks, something about the Lost Labyrinth, I can't remember. On the UK version, the Whisperwicks is so big, I just take the Whisperwicks as the title and forget the other bits. But this is the second book in the Whisperwicks series. Again, picks up where the other one left off. It goes through more kind of themes around families and how those are kind of managed and children's worries about them. and it has more wonderful kind of links to books and storytelling, and like how stories can give you hope and keep you going. And there was more kind of lore and magic within this world we got to explore. We got to see our protagonists expand on their skill set, and there's still that element of danger, and just absolutely loved it. Brilliant. Same level as the Whisperwicks for me, and bravo, can't wait for more. And the winning book was Silverborn, which is the 4th book in the Nevermore series. This is The Mystery of Morrigan Crow. And I absolutely love this one. I'm a massive Nevermore fan, so this was like the highlight of my year. The excitement, the fact we've been waiting for about, I think it's 5 years we've been waiting for this book. Not me, because I caught up on Nevermore. I hadn't quite got to that point, but it's been a long time that we've been waiting for this book, and it was worth the wait. Again, wonderful, delightful whimsy, brilliant protagonists that you root for, and a great cast of characters. And the Silverborn, the emotional payoff in this story is incredible, and I absolutely loved it. Okay, that's what I've read. So let's have a look at what I am interested in. Obviously, looking at the shortlist, there is the follow-up to The Last Hope School for Magical Delinquents, and this one is called The Forbidden Room. I'm so excited to get back into that world and read that book, and I do own it, so that is definitely one that I will be tackling. This list, it doesn't kind of come up as obvious on here, but there are a lot of novels in verse within this list. So I really love a novel in verse, so I'm very excited to get to those. I will see which ones I can access. It's definitely something that I would like to read more of. So I definitely want to read one of those. So they do tend to be the contemporary books and the novels in verse. And there's definitely kind of an emotional weight kind of within those stories. There are some that I can get from the library, which is very exciting. Others that I can't, but I may treat myself to some. Another book that I definitely intend to read is one of the hidden gems, and that is Coach by Jason Reynolds, because I have loved all of the track series, and I'm so excited that we are now going to get to hear the story of their coach, what they were like, what he was like as a child, and how he grew up. So that is definitely one that I'm very interested in reading. Okay, so let's have a little look at the Pyramid Peril map, and I will tell you what I've done so far. Let's enjoy a bit of tea first. Okay, so looking at the pyramid, there are 3 different ways you can go from the start, and there are varieties of choices. So I decided I didn't want to give myself too much choice to begin with, so I left out of the left and I could either go up and hit Banny Block, or I could go down and hit Creepy Cobweb. And I chose to go down and hit Creepy Cobweb because the prompt for that one is to read a book that you've had on your radar for a long time. So I thought that sounded great, to really kind of get one of these books off my list that has been just staring me in the face. And I went for Finally Seen by Kelly Yang. So it just so happened that I was in a library, and every time I go in the library I want to borrow a book because then I feel like I'm helping the library keep its purpose. And I was browsing along the shelves, and I was like, Finally Seen? I have definitely been wanting to read a Kelly Yang. I've still not read a Kelly Yang. Front Desk has been on my radar for so long. So I was like, right, this is clearly it. This is my moment to read a Kelly Yang with Finally Seen. And then Creepy Cobweb, you then have to keep going. So the next one was already chosen for me, which was Rotten Ropes. So with Rotten Ropes, the prompt was to read a book that is less pages than the previous book. So, Finally Seen has 396 pages. The book I was keen to get to because I borrowed it from my mum, especially when it was kind of giving me like a wintry bit of a vibe, was Saving Neverland by Abby Elphinstone. And so this book has 302 pages. So less pages than Finally Seen, so it works. So these are my first 2 books, both of them from 2023. So I would like to have the next books from here to be 2024 or 2025 books. That's my plan. So I wasn't sure where to go after this. So I come out from the Rotten Ropes. I'm not going to go to Sarcophagus yet because I do want to buy a book, but I'm not quite at the book buying time. I still got a lot from Christmas, and I still feel like that's been a recent thing, and I need to not be buying books. So I'm going to save that for further down the year when I feel like I can just really enjoy myself with choosing what book to buy. So that means I'm going the other way. So there are 2 ways I can come out, and it doesn't really matter which route I choose. So wherever I come out, my next options would be to do Banu Bird or to do the Cobra, to do the Coiled Cobra. Now, originally, I was thinking of doing Coiled Cobra and then carrying on and doing Labyrinth Lair and then coming out that way. So then I've done this side of the map. So in planning for that, I was like, I'll get the pigs out, we'll do a pet pick, it'll be great fun. And then I was like, oh, it might be fun to like do a poll. So I can't do, because I want to do the pet pick, because I love a chance to get the big guinea pigs to pick me a book. But I do enjoy doing a bit of a poll as well. So I'm like, why don't I get all the people on Middlegrade Mad Chat to choose my next book that I should get out the library? What a great plan. So I did that. But unfortunately, the book they chose for me to get out the library was a great choice. But there's only 2 physical copies in the library. They both have a long waiting list. The ebook and the audiobook also have a long waiting list. So actually, by the time I'd get that one, what would have been a lot quicker is for me to borrow it from my mum when I see her at Easter, because that's going to be quicker than waiting for me to stay in this list to get it out the library. So then it's not a library book because I'm borrowing it from my mum. So I've abandoned that plan. But what I have discovered is actually this book will work perfectly for a totally different prompt. So I'm abandoning all my plans, and because I didn't want to plan this anyway. I wanted to go through it, but obviously knowing this video was coming up, my brain started rushing ahead. You're welcome for all the extra waffle that you don't need to know, but I feel like sharing. So I am going to go Banu Bird, and the book that I need to read for this one is a book with 1 or more O in the title. So the book that was chosen in the polls on Middlegrade Mad Chat was A Box Full of Murder. So we have the O in box and the O in of. Hooray! So yes, my mum Nata has got a copy of this. I was with her when she bought it. We had been talking about Middlegrade Mad Chat, and she was quite excited about those buy one get one half price books in Waterstones. And we were looking at all the different ones. She was like, oh, I was interested in that one, then I was interested in that one. Anyway, she chose 2 books, one of which was A Box Full of Murder. And I read the first chapter. It's so good. It's so good. It sounds like it's just going to be it's got really strong middle grade voices. There's a brother and sister, and already you can pick up on their relationship, the difficulties of having separated parents. It's got multimedia right from the get-go because there's a text conversation from them. Their humour with each other made me laugh, and the discovery of this box. And I'm in the mood for reading a sort of a cold case murder mystery and having kids doing it. It sounds brilliant. So I'm really excited for this one. So that is the next book I'm going to be picking up, and it is from the 2025 list. So ideally, I would love to get one now from the 2024 list. So I feel like I'm giving myself a range, but we'll see what happens.
Look, I'm sorry, I'm driving myself up the wall. I am mispronouncing Benu. It is Benu, not Banu, which I keep saying. I'm very sorry. I can't go back and change all of it because that's just going to be far too painful for my little editing brain. So here is my big apology for mispronouncing. It is the ancient Egyptian god Benu. The prompt is Benu block. I'm very sorry for filming chatty mispronouncing.
Okay, so having read Banu Block, where do I go next? So I'm out from Banu Block. I can either go back through the start and choose a different way, or I can go to the left and then round, and then I could either go for Halt hieroglyphics, or I could go for what was it called? The stones, with the stones. Slippery slabs.
Sliding slabs. I really should fact check before I jump into filming.
So one of those. And I am kind of feeling in the mood for Slippery Slabs because it's got series in it, and series I definitely feel like I can do.
Sliding slabs. Read a book that is part of a series.
There is a book. I said I wasn't planning, but I am planning because I can't help it. There's definitely a book coming up that I'm really, really keen to read. And that is the next book in the Skander series, which is Skander and the Phantom Rider. So this is still part of the 2023 list. So this fantasy came out in 2023, so it's the second book. So we didn't have the first one on the list because we weren't doing it then. So I'm very excited to read this one. So that is what I'm going to do. So after I've read A Box Full of Murder, I will be reading Skander and the Phantom Rider. And this is the April book in the Skander along. So it should definitely kind of work within that time frame really, really well. And now I'm out. I am now out of the maze. So I can finish there and I've done it, but I don't want to because I want to do all the prompts. So I'm going to go round the outside and come back in. So I could either go to the left, go all the way around and come back up through Labyrinth Lair and choose a different book from the library. Or I could go round via the right and come in where I have two different ways to go and more choices. And I don't know which one I want to do. I can't decide. So what I'm going to do instead is we're going to come back to my final choice, and I'm going to just kind of give you an update on what I've read for the challenge so far and what I thought of the books. After I've had some more tea because I've been doing a lot of talking and I'm very thirsty. So Finally Seen by Kelly Yang. This is a contemporary book which tells the story of Lena, who lives in Beijing with her grandma. And her parents and her baby sister went to America to try and get everything settled, start new lives for themselves, and then they were going to send for Lena when they were all ready and settled. Lena has been separate from her parents for 5 years, so it's all brand new to her. Like the lives her family have been living, the fact they've had 5 years without her, everything she's left behind in Beijing. She knows some English, but she's not like fluently speaking in it. She doesn't really know Western culture, so it's a huge change for her. This book was so beautifully done, exploring the family dynamic, your sense of self-worth, and kind of understanding why, although you know the logical reason of why your family left, you still have this kind of, why did you leave me for so long? This kind of abandonment, trying to fit in the family, and also the guilt for leaving her grandma by herself. So there's a lot that's kind of going on for Lena, and all of the emotions were beautifully explored. And you can understand where her parents are coming from, her parents' difficulties, the relationship with her sister, and just so many different struggles that Lena's exploring. You also have the difficulties of being immigrants. So the family sort of trying to get American citizenship, having rights within America, and sort of the difficulties of trying to start something, trying to carve a life for them when it's not easy if you are poor and you are trying to make ends meet and you're trying to reach your dreams and your goals. You're also trying to give things for your kids and trying to support your kids. And there was a lot kind of explored in here. Racism is explored in here. The importance of stories is explored in here. And you can really feel like Kelly Young's passion for how having children see themselves represented is so important, and that was used really beautifully in this book. It also touches on book banning, which is something that Kelly Young has experienced herself, and I just thought the whole story was beautifully put together. All the emotional beats were definitely hit for me. There was so much kind of growth about friendship, about your worth, about when to stop accepting and trying to see the good in everyone, and when to kind of call out that someone's behaving badly. It was just such a beautiful read for all of those things, and I absolutely highly recommend this book, and I cannot wait to read more of Kelly Young's work. Finally Heard, the follow-up to Finally Seen, is also a contender in the nominees, which I could pick up. At the moment, I don't know if I'm ready for that, because I loved how everything was left in Finally Seen, and I don't want them to have any more drama. I'm not ready for this family to have to deal with any more drama. I was like, can we just leave them happy for a bit? So I don't know if I'm ready to pick that one up. We will see how I get on.
So first prompt down, I have read Finally Seen by Kelly Young. 16 to go.
So I have started Saving Neverland. I am, I think, nearly halfway through. I definitely thought I would have finished by the time I've come to make this video, but I hit a bit of a stumbling block with this book. So Abby Elphinstone is an author I absolutely love. Her writing, her authorial voice, is that a word? Authorial voice? I'm not sure. The storytelling voice is just like a warm hug. Like, you really can feel she's someone that thinks children are amazing. She's someone that thinks there is so much importance in children accessing magic and having impossible dreams and just being able to go to these make-believe worlds and test their own courage and imagination. You can really feel that in her writing. And Saving Neverland is absolutely no exception. So yes, it is using the fantasy world and story of Neverland from Peter Pan, but it's got the Abby Elphinstone twist on it. So there's nothing problematic in this book. Let's just say that for starters. There are new creatures that she's kind of created for Neverland. There's new characters in here. There is still Peter Pan. Captain Hook is spoken about of a villainous presence, but Neverland is different to what we have read about. It does reference the Darling children and their experience, but we have a brand new protagonist, which is Martha and her little brother Scruff. Now, Martha is finding being a child a bit difficult. Certain events are alluded to, but we're not kind of given more information. But basically, something has happened while she was playing where I believe she must have endangered her brother, and she feels incredibly guilty for that. She's also taken on this mothering role and this caring role of him. Their own mother isn't present in this family dynamic. It's just them and their dad. And I think Martha's kind of just taken on this older child. She's kind of put the weight of the world on her shoulders and decided she needs to grow up in order to protect Scruff. And therefore she's got to put away all childish things like imagination and make-believe and play. Scruff is a delightful child, and with that awe and wonder of children seeing things in kind of black and white, he just kind of cuts through Martha's trying to be older and is just like, but you can just play. It's fine. We can just play. And his delight and joy is there and very, very infectious. But Martha is very much kind of struggling with this, her need to kind of protect her brother, and is kind of suppressing any kind of feelings that she had previously of the joy of magic. So obviously, when magic enters her life, she's put in a bit of a difficult position of her old self would have leapt at the chance of an adventure, but her new self is being incredibly protective towards Scruff. So they have been called to Neverland to try and help save it from a curse. So you've got all of Martha's hang-ups and difficulties from whatever it was that happened, as well as the actual physical adventure in Neverland to contend with as well. So there is definitely going to be a lot of character growth, a lot of kind of unpicking of what has happened to cause Martha to be feeling this particular way. and to kind of basically reach out and give her a big hug and tell her it's okay, you can be a child, you can make believe, stop carrying on adults' burdens. So I think this is really wonderful themes to be exploring, and it really does kind of link into that Neverland, never growing up, being a child forever imagination kind of play world. That is what Peter Pan is often celebrated for. However, I hit a big stumbling block with all of this. I also think that Abby Elphinstone has taken kind of the bones of Neverland and just really improved on it in its make-believe and its wonder and its joy, and she's given it her Abby Elphinstone whimsical flair, which is delightful. My stumbling block, I was like, I can't work out what my stumbling block is, but I read a bit of the book and then I was like, I'm just going to put it down for a bit. I've got other things I wanted to read and then I'm going to come back to it. And it sat there for quite a long time and I wasn't coming back to it and I wasn't picking it up. I was like, why am I struggling? Because I love Abby Elphinstone, I love magical whimsy, I love fantasy, I love middle grade. Why am I not picking this book up? And I realised, I think it's Peter Pan. I think it's Peter Pan. So I, as a child, really enjoyed the story of Peter Pan. I often would, when we were playing and dressing up, I would often dress up as Peter Pan. We used to make weapons out of rolled up newspaper with my dad, and he'd always be making like little axe heads and like spear heads to kind of put on them. I'd always want a sword and I'd want to be either Robin Hood or Peter Pan. So I always enjoyed that as a child. I loved the film Hook as a child, and I really enjoyed the kind of the concept of it all. So, but somewhere along the lines, I've grown up and found Peter Pan really annoying. So as an adult, he's really cocky and arrogant, and I'm irritated by him. And there's a part of me that's like, oh my goodness, if you appeared at my children's window, I would bolt the door and not let them leave to go to Neverland with you. I think there's a tiny bit of that. I think it's like, I'm a parent and Peter Pan is anti-parent and I'm feeling attacked. So yeah, I struggled with Peter Pan. I also wonder if there's some other kind of media influences, like Once Upon a Time. that TV series was where they twist certain things on their head. I wonder if like that's also playing at the back of my mind. So I was like, okay, I just need to get over my dislike of Peter Pan and pick the book up again. So I had a little moan about it on Middlegrade Mad Chat, and then I was like, okay, I now feel relieved. I was like, yes, I'm going to pick it up. And I picked it up and I was like, I can find you annoying, but I am interested in Martha and her story, and I'm going to keep reading. And that worked. And I have continued reading, and I have read a lot last night and yesterday. So that worked well. And you are supposed to find Peter Pan annoying, and Martha finds Peter Pan annoying. So I guess it works. Yes, and I'm really enjoying the Lost Children characters that we've got in here. And the further whimsy and interest, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. So I am back on board with Saving Neverland. Hooray! And now let's work out what I'm going to choose as my final book within this vlog. So looking at the labyrinth layer with the library situation, there are other books I can definitely get out of the library, just clearly not A Box Full of Murder. So I've caught up with all the other books in the One and Only series by Catherine Applegate. So I could read the One and Only Family, which is a 2024 release. I do need a 2024 book on this list because I don't have one. So I think that's the thing. So whatever it's going to be, I want it to be a 2024 book. So I could have that one. From that same year, there is also Aya and the Star Chaser, which was a hidden gem. And I have just read Ruminations, and that's the follow-on to that. So that is a possibility. I was thinking of Millicent Quibb, Secrets of the Purple Pearl, but that's 2025, so I'm going to ignore that one. Okay, so the other options, if we go through the other way back in to the maze, I could go left and do Pharaoh's Puzzle, which gives us a cover colour match. Or I could go right and do Anubis Chamber, which is a book with a heavy theme or topic. And bearing in mind, I now have decided I really want this book to be from the 2024 list. So I've already cut up loads of my options. So if I'm looking at heavy theme or topic, Shark Teeth definitely explores like a really kind of heavy topic of family kind of at the brink of possibly children taking into care. So that would be very heavy. Uprising is spies in Poland during World War II, which I imagine is very heavy. Partition Project obviously is looking at the partition, making India and Pakistan, looking at her grandma's experience within that. So I would imagine there'd be a heavy topic in there. Unfortunately, none of those books do I have access to unless I buy them. So at the moment, I'm going to hold off. And I'm going to say we're not going to go to Anubis Chamber because I can't make any of the 2024 books fit. So Pharaoh's Puzzle is the other option. So that's the cover colour match. Now, so the last book I would have read would be The Prompt Before, which is the series book for which I've chosen Scandor and the Phantom Rider. This isn't a great book for a cover colour match because this would be a great book to be the book matching because it very clearly has a main colour on this, which is blue. But beyond blue, there isn't a smaller colour that you can pick out that would work that well. So I've got gold, I guess like black of the unicorn, that could work. Or even like white, you've got like white of like the sea foam here and like the white power in his hand. So looking at the 2024 list, in terms of white, I can only see Mystery of Locked Rooms as being the main colour, and I can't get hold of that one. Black possibilities, they're all very shadowy, so there's shadows around them. Wouldn't necessarily say they were the main colour. Possibly Artisans and the Chronicles of Weatherwhy. Gold, I'd give myself the orangey yellow options on this. And so we've got The First State of Being and Bridge to Bat City, neither of which I can get hold of at the moment. And then we have the next Scandor book, Scandor and the Chaos Trials, which would make sense. I'd read that one, then that one. But that is definitely tied in to the read along and the schedule for the read along. So if I decide to kind of like wrap all this up and do this at the end of April, I'm not reading that book till May, so that won't work. I just kind of don't like the concept of using this as a cover colour match because, no, I've decided not to do that one. So let's go back. Let's go back and look at the library because I did have definite options for the library.
The actual prompt is called Labyrinth Lair, and the prompt is to read a book that you've got from the library.
Like books I can get out the library, the ones I actually can get out, because obviously I have recently checked this, are One and Only Family, Aya and the Storm Chaser. I could also get Artisans out the library, and I could get Momo Arashima out the library. I'm kind of feeling like One and Only Family or Aya and the Star Chaser because I've already read books kind of leading up to them would make sense. Artisans I am very keen to read, but there's something kind of, I think again because it's starting a new series, same for Momo Arashima. So it's basically between One and Only Family and Aya and the Star Chaser. And I'm feeling two reasons. Aya and the Star Chaser, because it was voted higher than One and Only Family in my poll. And two, I just feel I'm in the mood for more of that kind of magical fairy tales kind of turned on their head fantasy. So I'm going to go for Aya and the Star Chaser as my final book. Okay, decision made. Woohoo! That took forever. So this is what it's looking like for my choices coming up.
So for Bennu Block, which is 2 O's in the title, we have A Box Full of Murder. For Sliding Slabs, which is reading a book that's in a series, we have Scandor and the Phantom Rider. And for Labyrinth Lair, read a book from the library, we have Aya and the Star Chaser.
And I will be back again to tell you how I got on and pick another 3 or 4 books to keep me going. Let's hope it's not quite as painful as this time round. But I'm happy. This is good. This is good. So I have got, so on the beginning, I've got 3 books that are shortlist ones, a hidden gem, consideration, and within that I've got a contemporary, a mystery, and 3 fantasy, but all quite different fantasy. We've got like an adventure fantasy, like a classic fantasy, and then a sort of a fairy tale whimsy fantasy. So yeah, there we go. I'm very happy with this. Do let me know if you are taking part in the Middlegrade Madness challenge and what your plans are, what you've been reading so far. If you're not, so you're just interested in books and seeing what happens, then I'd love to hear from you as well. Do give this video a like if you have enjoyed it, and if you enjoy the vibe, why not subscribe? And if you haven't got anything that you want to say but you want to let me know you're here, then give me a little emoji that either you link to Aya and the Star Chaser, Skander and the Phantom Rider, or Box Full of Murder. I'd like to see which book you are most interested in out of those 3. So give me a little emoji for which book you're most interested. So thank you so much for watching, and happy reading, everyone.